Before the video starts, I'd like to give a big shout out to Repod Reptiles. I had a lot of trouble getting footage for this video, and he made this whole thing entirely possible by helping me out with that. So please check him out, and big thanks to him. So recently a channel named the OmniViewer has called for Godzilla YouTube channels to get together to participate in one monstrous moment. Here, each channel will pick one scene from any kaiju film of their choice and talk about why they think it's great. This seems to be very much in the same vein as One Marvelous Moment, but instead in anticipation for the new Godzilla King of the Monsters coming out very, very soon. And seeing as I am an incredibly active and relevant YouTube channel, I thought I would participate. By far my favorite kaiju film is the original Godzilla. I know it's not a very original choice, but it's a popular one for good reason. I specifically want to talk about the very end of the movie, with Serizawa's sacrifice. In my opinion, this is the climax of the film, and an incredibly nuanced one at that. Nearly every other Godzilla film has a big, flashy climax full of spectacle and brutal battle, but not the original. The climax here is a culmination of all the metaphors, imagery, and build-up of Serizawa's inner conflict, reflecting our world to a scary degree. At its core, this movie isn't about a monster destined to become a pop culture icon. It's a desperate warning about the rapid growth of world-ending weaponry from the people who have witnessed the dangers firsthand. This one scene represents everything I love and respect about this movie. The movie takes the viewer through the internal conflict of Dr. Serizawa, as he has stumbled upon a super weapon he calls the Oxygen Destroyer. Serizawa knows this weapon is far worse than even the H-bomb, and has determined it best that he keeps this secret to his grave. With the awakening of Godzilla, things are complicated. No conventional weaponry has any effect, and in the desperation of Japan, Emiko, the only other person knowing of Serizawa's secret, asks Serizawa to use the weapon on Godzilla. After a while, Serizawa finally agrees after seeing the consequences of his lack of action. He knew world powers would be clamoring to get their hands on the weapon, so he burns all evidence of his work. Now finally, the actual scene of this video, and it only took me, I don't even know how many minutes. Being concise is not really in my arsenal of skills, if you can count a storage shed in my backyard as an arsenal. Anyways, in this scene, Godzilla has been found in the ocean, and Japan quickly takes action. Serizawa and Hideto dive down to Godzilla to deploy the Oxygen Destroyer. All goes according to plan, until Serizawa cuts the line to the surface, so he, and subsequently his secret, can truly die. People aboard the boat realize their success. But the scene is still solemn, not just for the loss of Serizawa, but also because the people involved know the consequences of their action. The ending is incredibly significant for numerous reasons. For one, the ending seemingly asks a real-world, devastated, mourning Japan, for lack of a better term, to understand the use of nuclear weapons against them a decade earlier. The ending doesn't mean to say that the bombings were at all ethical or even the right thing to do, but rather to communicate the lack of a right answer. In both World War II and the events of Godzilla, there is no right answer, only a solution to devastation that will bring greater devastation, and even more in the future. The beauty of Godzilla's ending is that there is no happy ending, because their victory does not go without consequence. Unlike the majority of monster movies of the time, the characters do not celebrate triumph. They just stare and mourn, The victory is clouded by the uncovering of a horrible weapon that, despite Serizawa's efforts, will inevitably seep through the cracks and become reality, just like the threat of nuclear war is in our world. The message of this film was really ahead of its time. Over time, the real world would develop the weaponry and amount of weapons capable of decimating the whole planet. This is the world we live in today. We've dug ourselves a deep hole, and as long as more deadly weaponry is developed, the deeper the hole we dig gets.
もし水爆実験が続けて行われるとしたら、あのゴジラの同類がまた世界のどこかへ現れてくるかもしれない。
This scene is an incredibly insightful work of art, subverting the norm of the classic monster movie. There is no great triumph, just a lingering dread for the future. Godzilla is not the focus here, but his presence is still felt in the metaphor. The focus here is on that metaphor, and that is where Godzilla is truly the most powerful.